Well, who's going to take care of Daniel Lynn? Who's there in the Bahamas that's there for the baby? Who is she trying to keep it with? Nobody answered these questions. But the court decided that Virgie was just off her rocker, and they fined her $3,000 for even bringing it up.
Really?
Now, the newscasters kept going, well, where is she getting all this money on a policewoman's wages? And this is a very good question, and probably won't ever be answered. But yet, it was this moment when she announced that she was trying to keep Daniel Lynn in the Bahamas that all the fear just left my body. It just went away, as if she had turned a switch. Because either this was just so unbelievable, so incredible, so strange, that my mind finally said, hey, okay, you're free. Okay, they just gave their hand. Here they are, showing that they are up to something. And so it was then that I was free to go. Now I had all the money to escape, and my heart was set free. And so I contacted WQXT in St. Augustine, and they air the Freeman perspective there, which is quite curious, because when I spoke with the owner of the television station, he tells me that most of the CIA retirees retire there in St. Augustine. And as I got there and started to look around, I thought maybe I understood why. If we start to accept maybe the Cthulhu mythos and that all these strange occultists are turning back into fish people and going back into the ocean. But you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah.
When I got to St. Augustine, this place was just covered in obelisks. I mean, the town is just covered in phalluses. All of them most of them marking their Freemasonic roots. Back from the 1800s, I found dates for the Masons on their obelisks. And now these obelisks stand right over what is known as the slave market. Now here we have our illustrious founding fathers announcing that they buy and sell humans, and they also want those that are being sold to know exactly who is being sold or who is selling them, because the obelisk stands just right over the slave market. And on this obelisk it says, "Our dead," period.
Sheesh.
Now this could be in reference of a monument to their dying soldiers that conquered the land, or it could be in reference to what the phallus is in reference to, which is the dead god Osiris.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I started looking around St. Augustine, and I found myself at Flagler College. And in Flagler College, Flagler is known to be a cohort of the Rockefellers. Of course, they're one of the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. He stands in front of the campus with his hand in the pocket, or the symbol of the hidden hand. And he has a gateway that enters the Flagler College. Now, Flagler College is surrounded by implements of destruction or torture. It's got spiked mace balls as its adornments, and then these are all held together by Iron Maidens, or what at least look like Iron Maidens, or torture devices, surround the campus.
Sheesh, okay.
The gate leading in, the archway that leads into Flagler's College, has a frieze on the face of it, and on it shows a little angel child or a cherubim in a portal, what looks like perhaps a little glass jar of some sort, like like a little portal. It's very strange. You can see the picture of this in my film, The Sorcerers of Atlantis, which is really just one of the TV shows. I'm working on making this into a movie. But now this child in a portal is set on either side by two other angels riding fish monsters. I was like, wow, that's curious. But then I looked to the next pane in the frieze, and it's two fish-tailed angels pulling on a torch. And one of the angels looked very traumatized. And just below that is an owl in a portal. And we're back to the Bohemian Grove symbolism. And next to that is these amphibian creatures, and then another angel that looking very much traumatized. I mean, this poor little angel, I hate to be so explicit, but this angel looked butt-raped. And this poor little angel, you go look at the picture and you'll see, it's on my website. you'll see this poor little angel in a portal with looking horribly traumatized. And I'm like, God, this is just so strange.
Yeah.
So I go through the archway, and what is awaiting me is a large phallus, what looks very much like a very large penis, gushing water out of its head, and that all flowing down into a vaginal bowl. And now we've got what we're looking at is the real representation of Target's logo, the sun sign, the point within a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Its real meaning is sex, and all of this is sexual references.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we have the point within the circle only elongated into a phallus in a vaginal bowl, and it's surrounded by amphibians, fishes, or frogs and turtles.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, there was an evil fish monster sitting over next to it with a little boy holding his penis.
Sheesh, really?
Oh my God, you know. And then all around there, it's surrounded with dragons.
And this all of this is in at Flagler College, and we're still in St. Augustine now.
Yes.
And because you started out your film, I guess. You know, a little bit talking about St. Augustine, and you mentioned that this is one place that probably has one of the oldest histories in America, isn't that right?
Absolutely. Ponce de Leon landed there in 1513. So we're talking about hundreds of years, longer than even America's been America. And, you know, the obelisks rule galore. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Do you know? But I guess that these the statues and monuments that you're describing here, do you know when they are from, like 1800 or later? Or?
The obelisks were dated around 1800s. The Flagler College, I did not find a cornerstone for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the date on Flagler College.
So do you think that all of this that you're describing here with this is again obviously about the life-creating force and generativity and all of this. Do you ascribe this, you know, solely to the founding Masons of the area? Do you think?
Yes, definitely. That town is riddled with it. And you know, I'm just trying to get to the source. Really, I'm trying to identify these symbols and then try to understand them. And of course, a lot of my explanations have gone off planet, and I'm looking into galactic history, and I keep finding these connections with merfolk, or fish people of Atlantis. Now, whether or not these were actually, you know, fish people that were around at that time, I mean, certainly there's enough history to suggest it. It's merely our belief systems that keep us from even thinking along these lines.
Yeah.
But yet these explanations seem to be more rational, as far as I'm concerned, than the others, to say that this is simply that they were sailors and therefore they ascribed to fish people symbolism, which could be the case. And the very fact that myrrh is the ancient Egyptian word for pyramid, we could also equate that perhaps they were identifying themselves as the pyramid people, the pyramid folk.
Yeah.
It's a curious conundrum, and I'm digging to find these answers.
Well,
I'm going to speak with Stuart Swerdlow tonight about galactic history.
Oh, you're having Stuart on later tonight?
Yes.
All right. Oh, excellent. Yeah. By the way, for anyone who wants to tune in, do they have to be in the area to watch the Access TV channel, or how does that work?
You would have to see it live here in Austin. It's only on the Eye on Time Warner, and it comes on Thursdays at 10 on Channel 16. But then, of course, I come home and immediate upload to Google Video.
Yeah.
And if you become my friend on MySpace, I'll bulletin it to you as well. So I'm Freeman TV on MySpace as well.
Okay, all right, that's excellent. Yeah, nice to have Stuart on. We have him scheduled here a bit later on the month. Also, it's been, you know, his research is very interesting, and again, I guess a lot of his work also ties into what what you're doing, just in the sense of trying to figure out. And as you mentioned, you have to look into galactic history eventually in order to try to pinpoint where all of this is coming from, because just as you mentioned, the thing about the merfolk is again something that is very common in many cities. Again, you have the famous statue there in Austin that you've filmed so many times, or have in your DVDs, with the merfolk basically pulling a chariot, I guess. That's in Texas, right?
Yeah.
And
Colombia.
Okay, Colombia. Yeah, okay, and then we have the same thing actually in Gothenburg here in Sweden. This is if you go around the architecture and look, there's lots of Poseidon's, Neptune symbolism, and even seahorses and things like this. So it seems to be, again, a very common thing. And you're right that this has some kind of connection to the ocean or the merfolk. The question is, as you say, where this might lead us. We might go off planet or on planet, and just figuring out that, okay, these are just people basically trying to create their mythology, because I guess that is one possibility here also. Would you agree on that?
Yes. And really the main point is that here we have, in America, we have all these illustrious founding fathers that everyone idealizes. But they know nothing about them. I heard on Coast to Coast the other night, somebody phoned in to a guy that was Howard Bloom was the guest there, and he asked him, well, do you think that the Freemasons have anything to do with this? And his response was, well, I don't know anything about the Freemasons, but George Washington was one, so I must like them. And to me, this is very curious, because as I outline in a couple of my works, is all of the presidents being members of this single fraternity, and no one knows anything about it. Mm-hmm. And so here we have what's supposed to be an open and free democratic republic, and yet here we have a list of people that are obviously in cahoots together, and no one knows anything about them.
Yeah.
And that should be question enough for you, that this same fraternity has been in charge of planet Earth, or America, for a couple of 100 years, and no one knows anything about what they do, what they think, and this has been hidden from you. These people are deceitful, so we have a deceitful government right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So to me, this is the biggest question.
One thing that comes to mind when again going back to I guess the symbolism and some of the architectural features and so forth that are ascribed to a lot of Freemason or Masonry, of course, could there be some kind of Aquarian theme going on here again, that these are not people that are into communicating through to you with words or telling you like it is, but this is it's a mystery here that you have to discover. And what I'm thinking about is, could there be a message here that this has to do with the dawning of the Aquarian age or whatever? Because I mean, 100 or 200 years in the time of moving through the processions of the equinox, that's not very long time, basically,
No, and yes, you can find definitely that type of message in certain codes. The penis and vagina thing, I'm not so sure equates to that.
That's right.
I'm still trying to sort that one out.
Yeah.
And I don't ascribe to the fact that they're just trying to cover the fact that they're a sexual cult. That to me doesn't. And one of the phalluses has a big cross on it, so the one that says "Our Dead" actually has a big cross on it. These symbols don't exactly equate to simply the Aquarian age with such things as the owl and the portal or the traumatized angel.
You're right, yeah.
And I went along and looked a little further, and I found a caduceus symbol, which is often equated with the DNA, or sometimes with the kundalini or the chakra system. But this particular caduceus in St. Augustine, on its head, instead of having serpents, had these awful-looking fish monsters. And there again, I was just like, I don't know. And I have found, I look at these things with the occult eye.